Continuing our case study, we will discuss about define phase now, in which the first thing that we'll discuss is scoping of project. The scoping of project includes identification of the process on which we are going to work and the specific primary metric which will be improving in due course of the project. So for identifying the specific process, the team makes something called as capacity map and tries to understand capacity of each process step. In this case, the capacities of melting, process, mixing, reaction and refining are identified. And we can clearly see the capacity of reactor is at minimum, which is around 54 units, and the capacity of melting is at 60, which is second from the bottom. So we can actually increase the capacity of entire line from 54 to 60 just by focusing on improving the capacity of reactor from 54 to 60. So this is how we actually identify the focus process of reactor, and improving its capacity becomes our process objective. Now, since we have already identified the process on which we are going to work, which is reactor, we can isolate the primary metric by asking some few questions sequentially. For example, can we increase the batch size by modifying the equipment? A bit too expensive, so we can think about other option. Can we actually increase the cycle time? Yes, it is possible to increase the cycle time and hence improve the yield significantly. We can do some experimentation around it. But since this will be a process change, we will need an approval from the relevant authorities, and therefore we should also explore other options. We can also optimize the parameters within the given specified ranges and see if the yield can be improved, which is presently 36%. So this becomes the easiest way forward and the fastest way forward. So let us take it as our primary metric, which is improving yield from present 36% to 40% as the project target by optimizing the parameter within this specified range. The next steps in define phase is to write a project charter and hand in hand do the baselining of the business metric and primary metric. So we'll understand how the team made the project charter and did the baselining. The project charter consists of 4 parts. The part 1 gives the basic details of the project. Part 2 justifies the business significance of the project. Part 3 is basically what are the objectives we are taking for the project. And part 4 is basically timelines and sign off from the critical key stakeholders of the project. The part A, basically, which is basic detail of the project, gives the name of the project in the jargon and the organizational jargon. The words used should be very commonly understood by the people in the organization. Then we talk about product family or part family about which we are taking the project, and then the business division about in which this project lies. The head of the business division should champion the project because his stakes in the success of projects are higher, and also the person can provide the resources for the project. Team should also try to find out exciting detail which can excite people for this project. For example, this team identified that no additional approvals will be needed because they are trying to optimize the process within the specification limit and may achieve the higher productivity. The second part of the charter is establishing business significance of the project, in which first we try to understand what is the business issue. In present case, the business issue is the production is lesser than the demand, which then we try to see in what way we can measure so that we can convert it into a measurable or metric. Presently it is metric tons per day. If we measure, we can actually establish it. Presently it is around 255 performance, which is actually baseline. Baseline means present performance, and what company wants, it should be around 300 so that this problem can be sorted out or demand can be met. Now this, why this 255 is the average of January to March, and only why January to March is considered is called as baselining. How to identify baseline period, which we will discuss subsequently. Now we should also understand the problem statement. The problem statement is written in a way which is 3W, 1H and 1S. 3W means what, where, when, and H means how much, and S means what is the source of pain. So in present case, the production is low is the problem, and it is in the period January to March, which we will say why January to March, and it is actually in specific plant where the production is low and where we feel that if it is increased, it will give us help us. And how much? We know it is 255 at present. And what is the source of pain? The pain is the demand is much more than what we are able to produce, which is about 300. So this constitutes the problem statements. We should also categorically mention that how much we will be able to solve the problem with respect to by doing this project. In this case, we are only able to reach certain about 50% of the problem will be solved. The entire 300 will not be reached. So that should also be clearly mentioned in the charter so that the management is aware. So now we will understand what is baselining. The baselining is a method in which we try to find out a stable period of present performance, and we try to eliminate all the special causes in the data which is given. So first thing that we do is we draw a trend line with respect to time, and which is easily done through a time series plot. We understand that how the data over a last period of time is varying. In the present situation, we see that only the last 3 month data seems to be stable, while in the last 6, 7, 8 months, the data is showing an increasing trend. We have to search and identify the reason why this change is happening. And we found that there are some modifications and batch sizes happening over a period of time, and they got stabilized by month of December, and from January they are always stable. So our baseline period becomes January to March, a stable period for which we can say it represents our present performance. So for baselining, we will take 3 months average value and we'll say this is our baseline or present performance. The third part of the charter is the most important part of the entire project. Here we first explain the story how the business issue was converted into the primary metric. Here the team explained how the high demand and low production issue, which was a business issue, was converted into the reactor yield, and this gives confidence to our champion that actually this project is going to give benefits to the overall business and therefore creates interest in the overall organization. Then we define the metrics one by one. The first metric that we define in this is primary metric, which is in our case is yield, which and our objective is to improve it from 36% to more than 40%. Then comes the secondary metric. The secondary metric are the benefits which will come anyway if we try to improve our primary metric. Or in this case, for example, cost of refining will go down because the yield itself is more, and therefore that benefit will come and margin will also increase. The another metric which is very important to define is consequential metric. Consequential is possible other effects which we should avoid during the success of the project, and in this case we should ensure that the ingredients are within the specification limits for which we have taken approval from the authorities. Also the financial metric, the most critical metric which is going to create a lot of business interest, should be measured and approved by the financial authority or financial head in the company, and this objective is very closely seen by various people in the organization. When we are setting project objective, we should also baseline our primary metric immediately. Baselining means plotting the values month on month and see if there is any variation from month to month yield, and the variation is significant or not. So we see here that the variation, that means in month of April the yield is very high, whereas in the month of January 20 the yield is very low, and the team explored and found that certain trials done in month of April which increased yield substantially, but the chemicals used were unacceptable to authorities and we had to revert back. Same way in April, the other chemicals were used, which were although acceptable to the authorities, actually reduced the yields. So these 2 months have to be removed from the baseline, and therefore average of only 10 months is taken for baselining the primary metric, not all 12. Fourth part of the charter consists of timeline and sign off from the key people or key stakeholder of the project. The timeline basically starts as the define phase gets complete. Basically, define phase is declaration that we are going ahead with the project. The measure phase typically take 20 days, but it may get extended if measurement systems for the project metrics are weak. The analyze phase typically takes 40 days, but it may get extended if the time of experts is not easily available for analysis of the problem. The improve phase again typically take 20 days, but it gets extended if approvals for experimentation in the process is difficult. Then comes the control phase, which takes about 25 days, but if the process documentation is weak, it may further get extended. Typically, it takes 3.5 months, which this team has anticipated and is moving forward with the project. Finally, team takes the sign off first from the members of the team, and it should be ensured the team is from various functions. You can see in this case the team is from production, quality, maintenance, engineering, technology. So very good cross functionality is maintained by this team. Then you should mention who is the leader, green belt or black belt of the project. Then champion, the person who is going to provide time and resources to this team members, and followed by finance representative signature, which is very important, who signs off that this project is going to give how much saving and if that savings are valid. Finally, the sign is also taken from the business unit head if the champion is different from business unit head, otherwise only champion signature suffices. This overall completes the charter, and we have seen how critical is the charter for success of the project. Hi friends, I hope you enjoyed the case study of define phase. We will further continue with other phases containing the same story or the same case, and I hope you will learn and enjoy and give your comments in the comment section to encourage us so that we can actually continue giving such videos. You can also subscribe our channel and get notifications for new videos that we upload.